start streaming already. Started streaming. Oh, that looks good. Because then I can tell you guys that I am not prepared yet. I need my Dr. Pepper. Let's check first the stream. There we go. Let's put it over here. Okay. Sounds good to me. And Kato, take care for short. For the time being. I'm bringing Dr. Pepper. I'm quickly picking up Dr. Pepper. Be right back. You take care. Alright, I'm back. Let's see. I'm sending it to you. Just now. WhatsApp. And here we go, Tarzan. Hey, how are you? I'm good. How are you? And Richbig, hey, what's up? And Notification Swords, yes. Angel, what's up? Hey guys, good to see you. So I prepared myself here with Dr. Pepper and Pringles, cheddar, and sour cream. Haven't tried that one today, but reduced fat Pringles. Those are actually original Pringles with reduced fat. It doesn't taste that bad. Actually, it's good.
It's fine.
It's fine. Better than the lightly salted ones, just to try out. And the quite opposite from lightly salted, it's salt and vinegar. And, oh yeah. And donuts, like, this was a really good deal. 65 cents. Glazed. Super juicy. Little Debbie. Super heavy chocolate. Not that heavy. I'm building website based on Vapor, like I said, inspired by you. Nice, continuing working on the side projects. I like that. Good luck, Tarzan. Alright, so the next thing we want to do for our website is set up Docker. And before we do so, I can only just go on the server and install Docker right away, but I'm sure there must be an article about how to actually set up a server environment correctly. So server, set up server with Docker. Install Docker Engine Enterprise, whatever. Docker Engine overview. Build and run your first Docker Windows. No. Can I start with Docker servers for hackers? How to set up simple Apache web server in a Docker. That sounds good. Apache web server in a Docker container. However, I would like to use Nginx, but everything else should apply to us too. And it's not that old. Just about 2 years. So let's open up that one and VM. Do you recommend maybe any tutorials how to check how websites looks on other devices. I tried to resize my browser window, but on my phone everything looks different. Huh. Do you have an iPhone? You got us waiting for these live streams like it's a new episode of Game of Thrones. Adrian, that's really cool. Welcome to the streams, to the live stream, and to the chat. I appreciate it. 8 Plus. It looks different on an 8 Plus. So what you could do is try to use Safari, and then with Safari it's the same. You can say, I think, what was it? Develop open page with, it was actually somewhere. Snippet editor, I don't think, no. That you could have, just like in the Chrome browser, the iPhones. Screens, no. There was a shortcut to it, but I don't remember it. User agent. Interesting. Maybe you can use that one. Look at that. You open your website with Safari, and then you go here, and then you connect your iPhone with the cable to your, say, the computer, and then open it there, and maybe you're able to use this inspector here to adjust the web page that is visible on the phone and debug what's different. You can try that. I think this ruler, no. That one neither. All right. So, always, I have Chrome and I can use it in Chrome if you can show. I mean, you said you resize your windows, right? But you can literally use that one here and then say responsive. You can say iPhone whatever, right? This is the iPhone then. You can say 100% to have it larger, and this should be the size of your iPhone. Okay, so I hope that gives you at least a direction. Hey Marty, what's up? Cyber, what's up? Hey, how's it going with your project so far? I hope you've been able to make some progress. Okay. Let's see. Installing Docker on CentOS and Ubuntu. We do have an Ubuntu machine. The server is an Ubuntu. To begin, let's install Docker using the forward command. Let's skim for once through it so we know what we can expect from that. So we're gonna get Docker. Interesting, and install it by that, and run a shell script that will add the Docker repository to our system and install the package. Alright. Next, use system to start the main Docker service and check its status. At this point, you can simply execute Docker ps, and so on to see what's running. And okay, an Apache container. I really wonder if we need an Apache container or whether I just want a Docker machine that spins up and exposes a port, and I'll just use Nginx installed on a server to upstream to that port based on the domain that was used to hit the server. And then from there, I want to have just a Docker image connect with other like the Docker Compose file, define the relation to other Docker images, such as MySQL if needed. That would be interesting to set up too. Okay. Oh, I didn't know about it. Thanks. You're welcome. No progress. It's Monday. School sucks. Yeah, it takes up a lot of time. I know. I suffered through school too. In the end, like an apprenticeship. I was sitting there on my MacBook all day. Tatsan, happy. Happy it helps. Cyber, did you try the new challenge? What is the new challenge? So we can run it. I don't know IT necessarily. I know D for in the background. You name it. You say you export. You expose the port, and then you are mounting your current or like from the server a volume to something inside the Docker machine, so it has the files in there. And I don't know about that. I haven't worked with Docker for a long time, so I do remember parts of it. Let's see. We can just access our server like that now, which is awesome. The broom challenge. Get a broom and balance it. It will stand. Today is the only day. It happens once every 7 years. Oh, you mean just like a flat broom? You would balance it and it will stand? Does it? Interesting. I feel like I've seen that before. No special gravitational pull or position of space of Earth or full moon thing going on. The only simple science involved is pure balance. If you have a flat surface and a broom that's got firm enough and flat enough bristles, you too can make your broom stand, granting you have the patience to try. Alright, on the stream. Sorry, still learning. Is that the command thing? This is the terminal or command line. If you will. Let's just try to focus. I mean, I don't think if I have a broom here. We do have downstairs a broom, I think, but there's a challenge to balance the broom. You just you can for short detour into here. As now it says, your broom will stand on its own today only, and people try. So NASA's trolling. This website is so bad. All right. Makes sense. I mean, yeah, that's what I have seen before. I'm shook. Oh, what the frick? That's cool. He just moved it. All right. So what I do know is if we go to projects and website, that we have already a Docker image here. No? Is it? Oh, because it's an old one. Let's see. GitHub, Vapor, API, template. The new one should have a web Docker file. This is not having a web Docker file. So then, let's get this. Because this is already doing all the work we need. When was it updated the last time? 4 months ago. By Jonas Schwartz. I tried it and I live on a hill. Today is a special day because gravity is pushing down. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. It could also just be a troll. And you can try tomorrow. Since, if you think about it, today, the day, if it ends for us, does not mean it ends for anyone else on the Earth. And then when does the day end, or the gravitational stuff? And I think you can try tomorrow too, and it will work. And the day after tomorrow. The internet shall never die. Yes. I agree. It should only grow. So we install all the stuff. We don't really copy everything from the current directory in the current directory where we are at, which is app, inside the machine, create and copy from Swift Linux everything into lib once it's created. Interesting. And then Swift build, because that one is from Swift 5.1. This is the image. This is the official image. We will need to also production image, Ubuntu. Let's see. Docker official images. Over 10 million pulls. That's a lot. It's not a troll, I did it. Oh, what I mean by troll is not that it's not working, but that today is the only day that this would work. Alright, let's just copy and paste that. What we can do is we say, we create a Docker put everything in there, and there we go. Has everything we want to have in that file. What was the difference? Oh yeah, I fixed some small things. Navigation is now fixed. Changed spellings here and there. What Docker do exactly? Please, Martin, you won't regret it. It takes less than a minute. It's fine. I will show you am I gonna stream tomorrow? Yes, I'm gonna show you tomorrow, maybe in a stream, that it still works tomorrow. Because the room is downstairs, or even in the basement. And I don't know how far we would come today. Docker as this article already suggested, what it enables for us is it's basically, you can imagine it as if you would have an operating system. You can use it to have another operating system run within an operating system like macOS. Say we have Linux, right? We are on the Linux server right here. It's a fully functional operating system, just like macOS. And here, if we would install stuff, let's say we are installing, a project needs MySQL 7, right? So on our Mac, we can install MySQL 7 and we can run our project, it works, right? Now we have a new client, he wants something that we built that would need MySQL 8. Now you have the issue, you would have the issue to install MySQL 8 on your machine without conflicting MySQL 7, and the other project might not be compatible with MySQL 8, but you still want to be able to continue working on the other project, but now you have like, how do you handle that? Well, instead of installing everything on your Mac, what you can do is you can just run another macOS inside your macOS and install it there, just like in your isolated container, and install MySQL 8 there just for the project and have the project inside there too, and just access this container to view the project and say work on it, and then you have another container and you have MySQL 7 in there. On your machine you have nothing, just Docker installed. And so that kind of makes it possible to install the environment of your project within an isolated operating system to not interfere with other required programs that you need for other projects. I hope I got the point across. It's not too simple to explain, for me at least, on the fly. Cyber, all right. Okay, let's see. Let's open up Quiver 2. And then also, do we have a Docker? We do. Whoops, that was not my intention. What do we have for Docker here? Basis. This is how we access it. Embed land inside the bash. Okay, so that actually enables it, so it runs in the background. I went looking for that music you have playing, and I have to say that it's so relaxing. Right? I agree. But I might have to change it in the future, unfortunately, because every time when I finish the live stream and it's processed, there's a label that's claiming the video's earnings. And right now I'm not earning anything from the live stream. But in the future you want to make sure you can get the money from your advertisements, and I will have to change the music to something that's not copyrighted. Harsh dev. It means Docker work like as well as a virtual machine. It gives one more OS for work. Yes, it's basically something like a virtual machine. But way more flexible. Usually you use Docker for, like in general, yes. If you start out, you can phrase it like that to understand it better. All right. So, server environment setup. Let's call it like that. install Docker. So we're using that command. And let's try it. We are Martin Lasek. If we are installing, I guess give Docker install script. Sudo password for Martin Lasek. The thing is, I wonder if I can. Yeah, let's just do that. I wonder if I would end up having to use sudo all the time for everything to start, even the process of the application, which I don't want, because then again, our application runs with sudo privileges, and this is exactly what I wanted to prevent with having a user with less privileges. But let's see whether we can change that. This incident will be reported. Alright. Yeah, so I cannot run it as such. Let me see. I think something like that was at user mod, not change mod, user modify, add group sudo. Granting sudo access using this method is sufficient for most use cases. To ensure that the user has sudo privileges, run the whoami command. Sudo whoami. This one's just Martin. Output root. How interesting. Privileges. How to configure delegate administration permissions for... Oh, what is that? No. Alright. So let's just add us to the sudoers group. Permission denied. Because we need to use sudo. No? We can't do that. That means sudo minus u dash u. Or was it? Server. Are you coding, son? I'm not. Today we won't code. We will set up the server environment further. Alright, what we can do instead is just exit the server and SSH onto it as root. Just like that. And now we can say, oh no, we want to say user mod add group sudo Martin like so. Now we can exit it again. Exactly, and then log in as Martin and now we should be able to say install Docker and enter our password. Now it should work. Consume the comb chalice? AJ, what do you mean? And your name is Dot? Consume the comb chalice. Hey Martin, I think I'm late today. Oh, you're fine. 30 minutes. Warning, adding a user to the Docker group will grant the ability to run containers which can be used to obtain root privileges on the Docker host. Yeah, if you would like to use Docker as a non-root user, that's exactly what I want. So I would have to use my user to Docker group that you will have to log out and back in for this to take effect. Alright. Add user to Docker group. I like that. Log out, log in, and we should now be part of the user. We can check user group Linux. What am I doing? There we go. What groups am I part of? My own group, sudo, and Docker. This is my user. Sounds good to me. So, and check the groups you belong to. Like so. We don't need that anymore. systemctl command to start the main Docker service and check its status. AJ, what are you up to? Is anyone coding alongside while I'm coding? Or are you just chilling? Start Docker, authentication for authentication is required to start Docker service. Multiple identities can be used for authentication. Red or Alright, let's go for 2. Failed to start Docker service, connection timeout for system logs. Let's try. I took too long, I think. Password. Authentication completed. You'll see choose number 2 and enter the password like so. Check Docker status. System Docker servers is running, loaded, active since right now. Docs, tasks 8 and whatever main pit. Docker the daemon. Okay. Adrian, I was doing a database assignment for my class. So you finished? How did it go? Will it be rated? Oh, you said that I just finished, so I'm going to start coding for my other class, HTML, CSS. Perfect. That's perfect. I feel like this is exactly the atmosphere and environment I wanted to create to code these kind of things. Hey Jay, I'm working on network calls in an iOS app. Besides, I have a PHP exam today at my college. Oh, what time is it and when is your exam? And are you working with results? With the result type in your network communication? Okay, so now we got Docker, right? Install Docker. Let's put it to another layer. Maybe even 4. Yeah, I like this better. Two and 3. Now, second, we want to install Git. Maybe this could be even the first thing, because Git won't be too much to install, because with Git we can pull our projects. Yep, says Adrian. That's good. If you agree. AJ, nope. Working with Alamafar's old version as the app belongs to a startup. Oh, I see. I see. Alright. 3 hours. Do you feel prepared? What is the exam about? Oh, and Adrian, what's the project in HTML and CSS? Is there anything specific you have to implement? $640. Do I really have to install Git all? Let's check first. Let's say we do have Git already. Okay, sudo app uninstall Git all, I think. I don't know what Git all does. Invalid operation uninstall. What was it? Git app remove. All right. So Git is still there. How? Why would I have Git here? What if it's default? I don't know. Let's see. Let's remove it. There's no Git. Actually, what is Gitter? Yeah, nothing. I would have expected this kind of output for Git. Sudo apt get update. Let's update first. There we go. Basically, that's it. It's basic PHP. I think I'm prepared for it, as it's just the basics. All right, yeah, sounds good. Are you working with PHP as well, like in your side projects or like in general for your backends? I'm creating a hair salon web page. That's good. This is some real world projects. Is it gonna use afterwards, or is it just an assignment, homework? Hey Martin, I wanted to ask, how should I look for companies to find an iOS job, and how should I choose the companies for applying and sending my resume? If you want to get a job as an iOS developer, you should not choose a company to apply for, you just apply for all the iOS positions, I would say. And if it's not in the States, then literally just, like if it's in Europe, which I would recommend if you're not in the States, right, like look up iOS job positions, Germany, and the same for Spain, for Italy and whatnot, France, and then just apply to all of them. And get invited. Also in your country, just get invited to interviews. Let them pay for you, or let's also like talk to them whether they would help you move. Some of the companies would do that. Let them pay for your say interview to get there, stay there, and get back, which they would do too. Yeah, my recommendation is simply don't limit yourself based on the country border. Just apply to everything around you, and don't say no for a company. Let the company say no to you, which means apply to any company no matter what they ask for in their requirements for iOS developer position, because they can still make an exception, or they cannot find someone for 2 or 3 weeks and get desperate and then take you anyway, although they didn't change their descriptions and so on, right? That's why I would also, as a remote worker, would also apply for remote work for positions that state that they are using they're looking for an on-place employment. Because again, if they get desperate because they need developers for 4 weeks or 8 weeks and they just cannot find one, they may just say, okay, let's hire for once a remote worker for that period of time because we have to meet deadlines. You don't know. That's why let them say no. Just an assignment, but even after I finish the class, I will continue to work on it. That way I have something to add to my portfolio. Yeah, good idea. Is it much more expensive to live in the States than in Germany? Yes. Yes, it is. Like twice as expensive, I would say. So let's see. Configure a good username and email using the following commands. Replace. So we don't need necessarily to do that, I think, because we're also not. We won't work with Git here. We're just gonna pull our stuff. So let's see. Let's go here. Let's go to server. Let's create. Cannot create directory. Permission denied. So we're gonna create that kind of structure. Server environment, install Docker, install Git. I think we could also just do this one. This should work. I can also test it by say remove directory. It's empty, that's why we can use that command. Else it wouldn't work. We can go somewhere in our home directory and just say make dir server, and then execute that command as sudo, and it still works. Great. Okay, thanks for the advice. You're welcome. You're very much welcome. stop, remove. That's true, we never had to install the web server on our host. Techmint web. Now let's create a simple web page named Docker HTML set directory. Techmint web port, and then yeah. Does that actually mean we want to mount our, we do this mapping on the container? Note that you will need to use sudo or login as root to proceed, and do not put the forward slashes at the end of each directory. Our plan is to have requests made for the public IP address of port 8080 be redirected to port 80 on the container. Also, instead of serving content from the container itself, we will serve a simple web page from the home user website. Tens, not tons. Which Linux-based OS are you using now? Ubuntu 16.04, I think, or is it 08? 16.04, I think I have, because there are only so many supported by Apple to run Swift. I think it's only the 16.04 and 18.04. God damn it, do I have something in my eye? In the following example, we will instantiate an Apache container named techmint-web detached from the current terminal. We will use an image code from Docker Hub. Interesting. I would like to know what's that and what's... It just says we will use that. And... Oh, one sec. Alright, I got it. So we will create a container and name it this one, techmint-web. That's just the website here, based on that image, which is HTTPD, which is gonna be the Apache, the image that runs Apache. And then we are, interesting, we are exposing port 80 and then mapping our 8080 to that one. But I would like to know right, you're right, I get it. Okay, all we do is basically we have the website inside that container, but that's not what I want. What I would want to have is in a container my application, and another container being the, how do you call it, is it a web server, basically Nginx running, or Apache, one of both, that will from the public IP redirect to the containers. And I wonder how you can do that. I think you can link them and they can communicate with each other. Let's see if we can find something. Set up server with Docker Nginx. You can create an Nginx instance in Docker container using the Nginx open source image from Docker Hub. Let's see. It was nice to watch you, but it's very, very late. I should go to sleep. Alright, Tarzan, thank you so much again for joining for so long, for an hour, and good night, and see you probably in the next stream tomorrow. Miłej nocy, dobranoc. Which Linux, you're setting up your own server for hosting website? Yeah? Yes, exactly. Load balancer and yeah, web service available as a Docker container. I don't have that. Oh, that's for Nginx Plus. Docker run my Nginx. Map your local 80 to the inner 80. I think in the background, and then using that image. That's the name on the image. The option specifies that the container runs detached mode. Yes, the container continues to run until stop, but does not respond to commands run on the command line. The B option tells the Docker to map ports exposed in the container to the specified port on a Docker host. The first parameter specifies the port in the Docker host. The second parameter is mapped to the port exposed in the container. This is our server, this is the container. The command returns the long form of the container ID, that's fine. Blah blah blah. That would be Docker plus image. That's interesting what they would do here. Here, that would be interesting. Managing content and configuration files. Content served by Nginx and Nginx configuration files can be managed in several ways. Files are maintained on the Docker host. That's going to be our server. Files are copied from the Docker host to a container. Files are maintained in the container. Right, either we mount a volume from our server into the container. That means we can live update stuff. Or we copy it from our host into the container. That means we have to go into the container to adjust it if we want to, but that would make sense. We have to adjust it locally and then restart it. Or we have it just in a container and we do it from inside there. The question right now is what's the best approach, because what I would want to do is, if I have Nginx installed in the container and configured to say serve the content from an application A, and I created in the meantime an application B and I want to deploy it, and I now want to have Nginx to also serve content from that, I don't want to have to shut down and restart the container just to copy and paste again the configuration, which will lead to a downtime for the application A, which means second option is no option. Files are maintained in the container could be an option. I think might be even the better option. No, this would be actually not a good option, I think, because once we are stopping the container, we are losing the files if we are not defining that in, say, Docker Compose, where we can do stuff. I don't even know whether we can configure stuff from inside there. So I think mounting a volume from the host into the container makes more sense. So then when we are removing the container, we still have the configuration files and don't lose them. Just one thing. If I make my own server for web hosting, how am I prevent from attacks my web? How can I put some security? Good question. I'm not a security expert. So what I would do is I would just read into it. I would search on Google about articles, I would read about it just like this one, and then see how I can improve my security on the server as I go. One of the security measurements that I'm already trying to take is having a different user on the server than root, that is running the processes, such as Docker. Bind. Oh, interesting. Read only. Interesting. That's already a security measurement. We got Git, we got Docker, and so what I wonder is, I mean, it's easy to do that right here, right? Running a container that would var, actually. Target user share nginx HTML. So I don't care about that actually. Do I? I don't really care about that because I will tell in the configuration file what to do. Oh yeah, and again, I don't know how to link one nginx to another container. So Docker link nginx, and yeah, for example, PHP. So the steps came below. First step is to build a Docker file. Now that the web server file has been built, it's now time to create a container from the image. Let's look into these. Back up a second. Wait, what is Docker? I don't care. Let's build a web server in Docker. Okay. So what he's doing is from nodes. Okay. He's running the web app. Yeah, he's not really using a load balancer. That's okay, that's fine. I get frustrated when I'm unable to dedicate proper time to coding, learning web dev and working for my iOS internship due to college work and classes. Yeah, I get you. I understand how you feel. It feels the same if I, for example, if it's getting late and I know I have to go to bed soon, but I just would like to continue reading into the setup so I get a broader picture of it and start doing stuff instead of breaking up and restarting tomorrow. Let's just also ask in the meantime in the Discord, maybe there is a Docker channel even. Heroku Docker, there we go. Let's see. Docker Compose. Setting up a reverse proxy with Nginx and Docker Compose. So Nginx is a great piece of software that allows you to easily wrap your application inside a reverse proxy, which can then handle server-related aspects like SSL and caching, completely transparent to the application behind it. Introduction. Managed outside of the application itself. Reverse proxies like Nginx can handle many of those responsibilities. Some software is not meant to be available over the internet since they don't proper security measures in place. Many databases are like that, and it's good practice in general to not make internal services public facing that don't have to be. All of that can be achieved with Docker Compose and Nginx. Neat little tool that lets you define a range of Docker containers. Yes, that should be started at the same time. Yes, and should then configuration started with. This is what I meant. Services, you say Nginx, and then ports 8080, whatnot, and then is my dependency safe? Interesting. Expose 80. Whereas with that, I think you link them too, or it's not published to the host machine. That's why it can also specify port 80, even though Nginx already did. The difference to the ports configuration is that they are not exposed, not published to the host machine. Oh, interesting. That's why it can also specify ports even. So that maybe means that the ports 80 are, I wonder if that means, I would like to know what that means. Are ports from that one mapped to what? What port? What is the other port? It's not the host, as it says. It's not exposed to the host. Where is it? To the other containers? To all the other containers? With networks, it is possible to specify which containers can talk to each other. They are specified as a new root config. So networks, my network name, networks, my networks, that. Interesting. In the root object networks, the network, my network is defined. Each container is assigned to that network by adding it to the network list. If no network is specified, all containers are in the same network, which is created by default. Therefore, if only one network is used, no network has to be specified at all. That's a good write-up. A convenient feature of networks is that containers in the same one can reference each other by name. In the example above, will resolve to the container, is my dependency safe? HTTP, that one. That means if I would, for example, I wonder what I could do instead of I could map 8080 from the host to 8080 inside an Nginx container, and I think whenever you hit up, or is it just 80? Whenever you hit up a server, you by default use the 80 port or 8080, one of the both. I'll have to read up on that, but that would mean every request is redirected to, not necessarily, is it? I think so. Will be redirected to Nginx, and then inside there I can use the names to further direct the request. Because if you look, for example, that's what I did on the other server. If we look at server setup, its environment, it's Nginx. Right here, basically, whenever the server got hit by port 80, it is then with anything regarding, this is the server name, regarding Martin Lazik DE, anything in front of it, same for com, it will pass the request further here, which is specified here. That is this, I could also just probably write that one down there. I think the whole thing. And passing over somewhat headers, some configuration, and then defining the logs. And with that, so I think right now if I set up this one inside the container and say upstream Martin Nasik, and in this case this would be the same as here, but the server would not be that IP with the port, but actually the name, which should resolve to the other container. If that works, that would be interesting. And not that difficult to try out, I think. What we can already do is, the thing is, it's not that difficult to try out, but whatever I do, I want to document as well, step by step. So I basically have a guide to set it up and also to look up what I've done. So I know my architecture. What we could do is we can just clone the projects. For example, GitHub, Martin Nasik, and then website. And basically clone that. Git clone this one. Just as website. I'll call it Martin Nasik. Cannot create worksheet, permission denied. Understand. Wait, this is exactly what I meant. What is it? Don't be weird. Owner group all users. All right. Owner group all users. Root. Can contain multiple users. So what I want is the owner can be root, but I want the group to be, say, Martin Nasik or Docker, doesn't matter. It should be a group where I am inside and I have basically the rights. So file type and access permissions. Here we see indicates file. That I know. The first part of the code is RV. This is just that the owner home can read. He cannot execute the file since execute bit is set to dash. This is the group. Changing file directory permission with change mod. We can use the change mod command, which stands for change mod. Using the command, we can set permissions, read, write, execute on the file directory for the owner, group, and the world. There are two ways to use the command: absolute mode, symbolic mode. Number 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah. So we have, oops, change mode 764 and checking permissions again. 7 read write execute, 6 read write, and 4 is just read. Ownership and group. This is for changing, change user group file name in case you want to change the user as well as the group for a file or directory. Use that one. Change owner user. The current file ownership using cut this. He overlaid that. No, that was me. Okay. If I just want to have the group, so okay, let's see. We have back to server. Where did I put it? Docker? Set up a server environment. Should be in server. Inside Docker, create your project structure. Change group of the directory to just say Martin Lasek. Change owner, and it was, so the right side is the group, and then probably we have to use sudo. Let's try that. If I try that, because you know I tried to clone, it didn't work. Right, permission denied. And then we checked, we see that the group just has either our read, write, read and execute, but no write permissions for the group root. Global can only execute, which means we can go inside. We are part of global. Everyone is part of global, but we want to change. Oops, we want to change the owner. Sudo change owner to this. And now we have the group Martin Lasek. We can read and execute, but we can still not create, I think, as Martin Lasek. Let's try. We can create test. Nope, permission denied. But so the next thing we want to do is give read, write, and execute permission. And that means if we look up that one again, it will tell us already how to do so. Was change mod, and then For example, read write execute is 7. Alright, that means change mod. We want to have root can still do everything. I want to do everything too, and global should be able to do nothing. No one cares about global, no permissions. So probably we will have to use sudo, like so. And now we can read write execute as well as a group. So let's put that to Martin Azek. Outcome should be like so. Adrian, how do you open the terminal so fast? Oh, I have set up my PC, my iTerm with a shortcut that it is always open, and I just slide it into my screen and out of my screen wherever I am with my mouse. So that means if I go here and I use it, I see the terminal wherever I am and can use it right away. I love that setup because it's super quick. So that should give us this. Change group. Okay. That's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Give read write, and then also output should be, if you look at this now, so now comes the fun part. Let's go in here. Oh, basically if we go back and we go up, what we tried before that didn't work was just creating a directory without using sudo, and it works. So we can look into dmvc test, so we can also remove that directory again, like so. We can go inside here and we can now git clone our project in here. This should work now. There we go. So now we have our project down here. It's owned by Martin Azek. That's fine. And if we go in here and let's have a look into the web Docker once again. This would just run at port 80. I would like to try, so this is where I read it, create your project structure. It's basically your server directory plus permission structure. Create a directory. Whoa, that's $1 too many. Change group of the directory to Martin Azek, that's fine. Outcome should be this. We can use that one. source. Now run docker expose port. We have that somewhere here. There are several ways to do this. You can export a port via the expose flag, whatever. Too long didn't read. For reliability, use P or P to create specific port binding rules. Treat expose as a documentation mechanism and approach link with caution. I would like to have it. I would like to run. Can I use Docker Compose and specify it in there? Yes, I can. I would like to use it there. So let's have a look again at Docker Compose. Because what I would like to do is, for each project we want a different port, and a different port is relevant for the server and not for local. Docker locals irrelevant too. Because I will only count up, right? I would say, for example, the first project starts exposing the port 8001. Oh, actually, wait. Yeah, I wanted to say it's in so many days, Martin. You look cute when you code. Cute. Thanks, I guess. So I might not. Need to expose the port because we gotta link it to a different Nginx container. What we could do just for fun right now is we could say Docker. I think we could say Docker run GI. Let's see. Where is my gist? Right here. I once wrote some Docker specifications. How to push an image, yes. How to Docker. What's that? Only 6? I deleted it then. Docker run minus d p name export ports in Docker file. Only if I don't have it defined in my Docker file, which I have. Down there, port. Oh no, it's not. Allowing containers to talk to each other internally. Containers on the same network can talk to each other over the exposed ports without having to publish ports back to the Docker host with P. This is useful for services like Postgres or Redis. These are things you typically wouldn't want accessible from the internet. That's true. Too. What's more fun to you in web dev, frontend or backend? It changes. It changes all 3 months, I think. Depending on how long I work on the front end, after a while I feel like, I want to go back to the back end. I need the change. And then I work on the back end. And then at some point I would like to go back to the front end, and that could be either web or say iOS. At best, like the best case scenario is I work at both at once at the same time, which I currently do with my current client project. I do have a web and a backend and even iOS, which is perfect. It allows me to work on everything at once or at the same time. Never gets boring, ever. Docker run IT name. Alright, so Docker container run. Let's see if that one works. Docker run p 8080-d. There's at least one argument. Maybe two. Detached. No. Oh, Docker run. What if I say Docker start? Let's see, Docker attach. No. Do I have some Docker bases here? Access the container and execute. No. Docker run to a name. But I would like to use the Docker file for that. So that means start a container. Docker image build whatever, Docker container run. I can build and then run it, but I wonder if I can just run it right away. This is too long. This is Docker run. This will give an image. Download the file. So I do have to say note. I'll have to say Docker, what is it? .t and then say Martin Lasek to build the image based on the Docker file. But that would also mean I think Docker Compose might be better. But I might have to, I will wonder if I have to specify, if I can specify the Docker files for the services. Like image, oh, build here, this is it. Exactly. And then, okay, so installing Docker Compose on Linux. Run this command to download the current state or release of Docker Compose. Uname. Oh, that's probably then just automatically. There's lots of setting up stuff. Permission and then install git, install docker, and down here we can say install Docker Compose. Okay. So getting Docker Compose. It's interesting that it says uname. Okay, and then we say apply execute a person to binary. Apply. like so. Let's try this. This should install Docker for us then. I mean Docker Compose. Nice. And this one should give executable rights to Docker Compose. Nice. And from here, note if the command to compose fails after installation, check your path. You can also create symbolic links to use event or anything. Docker Compose version. It worked. Okay. Let's say source is this one. We have another source up here for that. That's good enough for Docker Compose. And from here, now we can create this should be, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's version 3? Oh, that's probably Docker Compose version. Build this one. We don't need to mount anything. We need links. And then we have this. We don't need anything like this. I think this should be everything we need. Let's just try. Let's have Docker compose.yml, put everything in here, say this is services web, I wonder if we should call this smart elastic, we will see, and then port 80. Done. And what we can do now is Docker Compose up minus or dash D. This should run our container. Basically build the image and run our container based on it. Let's see if that works out. Can you give me some tips on game development, as I want to start developing for some game apps in iOS? I can recommend you to check out Unity if you want to develop. I think Unity is the easiest way to get into the game development. But you would use C#, I think, to develop apps instead of Swift. You could do Swift too, but then you would use SceneKit or SpriteKit, depending on whether you use 3D or 2D, and there are way less resources for that. There are not that many. You will have to look up, for example, rayvanderlich.com or udemy.com for the little resources that are given, and based from that, figure out yourself a lot of things. Creating network multi-elastic default with the default driver, building web cannot locate specific Docker file. Can I say what my Docker file is named. Docker file, this one is it. So we can say build and even further Docker file is gonna be web.docker. Let's do that again. Scanner mapping values are not allowed here. Context. Oh, I might have to say it like this then. Copy that. And say Docker Compose app -d. There we go, it works. Cool. Create Docker Compose, for example, like this. Under services, specify name of should be given, build context is path to Docker file, build Docker file, name of Docker file. Host port, container port. I think it was this way around. Still fetching stuff, running stuff. So let's see. I'm trying to find some resources available about cloud storage, but can't seem to find it. Rage. Oh, Adrian. Oh, there are so many. There's plenty of resources for Unity C#. I once tried it for fun. Yes, there are, and there are even good YouTubers. What is this process you're doing? I am right now still setting up all the things that I want to have on my server. So right now, I installed Docker, but I want to use Docker Compose because I feel like it's easier to maintain new containers and their relations. And that's what I'm doing right now. I just installed Docker Compose 2, and while I do that, I document the steps. And then afterwards, once that is running, we can then try to access our website using the IP and the port 80 to see if we can access it. This would be the milestone for today. It should work, since I have also specified the port, but I always confuse which side is which. So let's see. The left hand side of the port number mapping is the Docker host port to map to, and the right side is the Docker container port number. Okay, so that I got right. There we go with coloring. That looks nice. It's building stuff. So what we do is we are exposing the port 80 right now. Later on, what I want to do is I want to say that I want to have an Nginx container and have it as a requirement for every project to be given, which Docker Compose will then figure out themselves or himself, itself. For a specific project. Services. I don't know if I have to specify it that deeply. I don't think so. Web is build is interesting. Dockerfile is interesting. Ports. Let's leave it like this. Okay, so that worked. Docker Compose PS. We see that one is running. It has a name. It says Martinazic Web 1. I wonder. Web is coming from the services web. Now, if we say Chrome, and if we now look up, let's say SSA, this AP address right here, copy and paste it in here and say port 80. Is it working? Or is it default? Timeout. Doesn't work. Alright, I think this is something to debug in the next session. But we've come far in a lot of different areas. I need to figure out for next time why the port, because what I think is if I access just my IP address like so, just that, by default it should actually handle the port 80. Maybe not if there's no load balancer or anything like Nginx in front of it. Could be that this is missing. Actually, no. Actually, no. I don't feel like it makes sense. So I have to figure out how to fix that. On the other server that I did, I had Nginx and that will just upstream to the port that I binded from the application, which was a random port, say 8001, and that would work here. I would have thought, because 8080 stays because it's a different port, but 80 I'll read up on that. I'm not finished yet. Untested, work in progress. Alrighty guys, let's end the stream here. It has been 2 hours. You have been pretty patient with me, watching how I try to walk my path to set up the server. Still a thing, it's done. Like, this is still something I'm super interested in general. It's not software development, but it's still interesting how to set up a server and what's needed. So Adrian, Angel, and everyone else, have a great night. Thanks for joining, thanks for hanging out, and I'll be there tomorrow at 7 p.m. again. On Wednesday, I can already tell I won't be streaming because I will be on my way to LA. We will fly and I will not be home before 9, so that will be one day off, but I will talk more about that tomorrow. So have a good night, everyone, and peace out.